Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Liz here. Welcome to this video, this live stream, whether you're watching it live or the recording. I'm going to be talking about strength isn't the problem, recovery is. That is today's topic. And if you don't know me, I am Liz Philippone. I am the moderator of the private Facebook group, Mindfully Fit for Life. And this is also, I am on my YouTube channel. So if this is your first time being here or you're coming back, please like this video and subscribe. Why not, right? If you like what you are learning on this channel in my Facebook group, please, like it, love on it, do all those things. And if you don't know me, if this is your first time hearing from me, I am Liz Philippone, and I help people stay strong, confident, and independent by combining evidence-based training with mindful movement and nervous system support. I'm a multi-certified fitness and yoga professional, and I specialize in strength, mobility, and corrective exercise for midlife and older adults. And my overall approach focuses on building resilience. This is not about perfection, it's about resilience, bouncing back, right? So clients can move better, reduce pain, and continue doing what they love to do for years to come. So again, just going back to that word, resilience, okay? I do work with a lot of midlife and older adults, and I listen to them and hear them and relate to some of the things that they are saying, whether that is from like, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of stiffness here and there, as I get into my later years, in my late 40s here. And yeah, I know I have other things that will probably happen, right, as I get into my 50s. But besides that, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about my clients, my students, and what they tell me, on a regular basis, how they're feeling, whether it's in the moment, or for the past months or years, right? When they start working with me, what they tell me. And that's what a lot of these topics that I talk about in my Facebook group and on my YouTube channel, that is why I talk about the topics I talk about, because it's education, right? Sometimes you don't know why things are happening, right? You don't know why suddenly you wake up in the morning and you're like, I got this new stiffness here and it's not shaking off like it usually does, right? You wake up, you might feel a little achy or a little stiff somewhere in your body. And then once you get moving, it usually works itself out. And then one day it doesn't work itself out. Does that ever happen? Let me know in the comments of this video, even if you're watching the replay of this, let me know in the comments if you have experienced that, right? And I'm also going to ask you, because I always want to connect with all of you who are watching these videos and, supporting my content, which I always appreciate, is have you ever felt like something is off in your body? And your first instinct is just to push through it, to push harder, right? Because you have to get stuff done, right? Let me know, right? And it could be, I'm just going to share some things. It could be low energy. It could be that lingering soreness. It could be feeling stiff or tight that I talked about. Or you're doing those same workouts that you've always done and you're not getting the same results. So those are sort of the common experiences that I hear from people that I worked with over, the past almost decade of me doing this, and even beyond that, because I was a yoga teacher first before I got into fitness coaching and training and all that stuff. I was a yoga teacher, and I mean, why do people go to yoga half the time, right? Because they feel stiff, because they're stressed out, right? They need to chill, they need to slow down. But, sometimes yoga is a little bit fast-paced too. So thank you for being here. I am going to go into this topic. I'm going to unpack a few things, right? So, Yeah, so here we go. Okay, so what is the real issue here, right? Right? It's not always about strength, right? Strong, right? It's maybe some of that is about strength, like in muscle health, right? If you listen to some of my older videos from the past few weeks, the past month, I talked about muscle health after 45 and just various things that contribute to that and things that you can actually do to support that. Um, but it really comes down to recovery. And I did talk a little bit about recovery and things that help with recovery, but I'm really wanting to emphasize this today and maybe for the next few weeks because I'd like to, there's so much stuff to talk about, right? That I can't talk about it all in half an hour, right? Less than half an hour. I try to make these lives less than 30 minutes because I get it. Time is of the essence, right? So, and I am doing this video right now at 9 o'clock in the morning. I've been doing them at noon-ish, 12:15, and sometimes schedules just switch around. So I appreciate you all coming and watching this, whatever time it is. So I always ask this question, and I'm going to ask it, what feels hardest right now for you, right? When it comes to your body, your health, is it feeling recovered, refreshed? Yeah, like after a night's sleep. Is it having enough energy to do the things you want to do and get done? Is it knowing what your body just needs in the moment, right? Sometimes we don't know what our body needs, and it takes time to figure that out. Is it about staying consistent, right, with whatever habits, health habits you are working on? And health habits can be exercise, water intake, sleep hygiene. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's mindset, meditation. Maybe you're going to talk therapy, right? Like, what are you working on? But what feels so hard for you right now within all that? Okay. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your answer. And because, we can learn from each other and connect with each other. Okay. So I'm not going to go into deep detail about this because I talked about this a lot in the past few weeks, right? So I just want to say that your body is still capable, no matter how old you are. Your body is still capable, but it needs more support. Okay, so your recovery capacity changes, especially after 45 years of age. It just does. The amount of time it takes for your body to recover from whatever strenuous or physical activity, sometimes it's a mental stress, right? Life event, your capacity changes. All right. It might take a little longer. And your hormones and your sleep impact repair. Okay. Repair meaning that recovery process, right? For your whole body, not just your muscles, but your nervous system as well. Okay. Your nervous system is like, the central hub of your body. Okay. And also, speaking of nervous system, it stays on longer. And a meaning, I would reiterate that as your sympathetic nervous system, right? Your fight or flight, that's the thing that stays on longer. We need to train ourselves to bring it down a little bit, to down regulate. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for watching. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, so it's really about that nervous system support, and I'll get into this in a moment, but those are sort of the two big things I'm going to talk about, or one of the things I'm going to talk about is nervous system support. But I have said this before in my previous lives, is that results, right? Whatever results you're trying to get, maybe it's from exercise, okay, from a workout that you do, they don't necessarily come from the workout. Actually, the results actually come from you recovering after those workouts. Okay, I'm going to reiterate that because I think it's very important to emphasize that you go through that workout and yeah, you're doing work. I'm not saying that you're not doing work. You're not building muscle strength or endurance or that sort of thing, right? Cardiovascular health. But it's really in the recovery that the results happen. So letting your muscles actually rest is actually helping them build. Okay. Energy is restored in between your workout sessions. Okay. So how many days a week are you working out and at what capacity? Okay. What intensity? Okay. Are you doing that? Are you giving your body time to restore its energy sources? Right? Because as we get older, those sources decline. All right. And then progress always requires adaptation, meaning change. So, not that constant stress. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I used to be a cardio junkie in my 30s. Yeah, I got into cardio and was getting really amazing results, but I thought that's all I needed, right? It was like cardio, body weight, hit, like all that stuff, high intensity interval training. And then I did dip into some strength training, right, in my later years. But man, I didn't realize all the stress and the damage that I was doing to my body and even my nervous system. Like I wasn't even thinking about my nervous system, my cortisol levels and my stress levels, like whenever I would get stressed out, sometimes I wouldn't go do yoga to chill out. I would go do like crazy hit classes or hit workouts. And that depleted me over time. All of a sudden I couldn't do that. My body started retaliating and was like, no, Liz, I can't do this. I remember I would get sick, get sick easily because I wasn't letting my body rest. So I was overtraining is really what I wanted to say about that. Is maybe I should talk about overtraining, actually. I should talk about that in the live about overtraining because, man, do I have experience with that. And I have seen it with students and clients as well. So I got to make a note of that. So think of it like constantly withdrawing from your bank account without making deposits. Does that make sense? You're just constantly pulling, taking, right, from your bank account, and you're not putting anything back in there to replenish it. Okay, think of it that way. Okay. All right. So what actually supports recovery? All right. If you want to comment, if you're watching live or the replay, what do you think actually supports recovery? I would like to hear. I am going to unpack it. But I would just like to know. I'm just going to look at some things, making sure that I am on track. So I talked briefly past few weeks, protein. You can go back to those videos from previous weeks and check that out because that essentially does support muscle repair. And it's especially important after 45 years old. You actually need more protein. Your intake increases as you get older. Definitely check out that video that I did a few weeks ago. One of the things I really want to talk about, two things I want to talk about. This next one, hydration. Okay. And then there's sleep, recovery between workouts. Okay. I'm going to unpack that too. So the really key ones I want to, and mobility, flexibility, and stretching. That is really going to go into my recovery between workouts, but it's recovery between workouts and hydration that I really want to talk about here. Hydration actually energizes you, helps your joints and muscle function. I'm going to be doing a conference. I'm going to be presenting at a conference in May, a fitness conference, and I'm going to be talking about how there's some studies out there that they have done in nursing homes where there were a gazillion falls that happened. People, were falling, right? They were just going about their day and having really bad falls. And they found out in this study that the majority of the residents were dehydrated, right? They had a really high level of dehydration. And we don't think that, and it's not just water. It is water, but it's also electrolytes too that deplete too. Those are very important to get for hydration. They're part of hydration, but it they found that these residents were very dehydrated, and that affects muscle function and joint function. We don't think it does, but we don't think that would, right? Our bodies are made mostly of water, okay? Like 75 to 80% water, something of that. You can Google it, actually, but it's within that ballpark of percentage of water that our bodies are made of. So think about that for a second. Are you drinking enough water? Are you properly hydrating yourself daily? I know, just another thing to put on the list, right? Sleep, right? Sleep. Oh my gosh. I will unpack that on another live because I think that's very important. Key is that's really where the real recovery happens. And I know, especially women, we go through our phase, right? Perimenopause, menopause, where our sleep, man, it gets so disrupted. And I'm not saying men's sleep doesn't get disrupted, but women, man, like we get hot, we get all those hot flashes. And then we wake up and then just a gazillion things are going through our head. And there's nothing we can do about these things in the middle of the night, yet we cannot go back to sleep. We may tell ourselves a million times, I can't deal with this right now, or I can't do anything about this. Let me just go back to sleep. So then our bodies don't properly get that rest, that deep sleep. And then, of course, there's recovery between workouts, right? Spacing your workouts out. I have had to do this. It has made a huge difference in just my energy levels, my wear and tear that I feel on my body. I space out my workouts, meaning I space out my strength training days a lot more apart than I used to. And in between, I go for like some nice walks, stretching. I focus on core work. Just those are some things to just give you an idea of what I do. And then in those workouts too, I said stretching, mobility, flexibility training, right? It's really where the magic happens, right? It's really, and it's not just about doing nothing, just resting and sitting on your butt, right? Recovery. I mean, that's part of it too, right? But it's about doing different movement in between to keep the joints supple, to lengthen out the muscles, the connective tissues, support the joints. Let me know if this is making sense. If you have questions, I'm looking around at comments here. All right. Okay, we're getting through this. So I talked a little bit about hydration, but I'm telling you, I'm looking at the benefits here, right, of, mobility, flexibility, and stretching. I know I've said it a million times, right? My background is in yoga. But all of that being said, it improves circulation, right? We need to recirculate the blood flow, move some of that lactic acid out, right, from the work we did in our workouts, or even maybe we were really stressed. Maybe we are recovering from an injury, things like that, a surgery, musculoskeletal condition. It improves circulation, blood flow, healing to that area. That's the wonderful thing about mobility and stretching and all that stuff. It reduces stiffness. I'm telling you, after I take my dance class, I take dance because I love it. It's my passion. It feeds my soul. No excuse. I make sure I stretch after that class at home before I go to bed, because I know exactly what's going to happen when I don't the next morning. My body's going to be so stiff. And I take 5 minutes to do the main parts that I know need that stretch, okay, in order to recover and let me walk the next day, really essentially, right? And of course, it also supports your joint health, right? If things are tight and stiff, your joints aren't going to move functionally and optimally. So stretching and doing specific movements with the joints, right? Just even like doing this or this, right? Just different things are going to help keep those joints supple and mobile. It also helps your body feel safer and more supported, right? Because you're relaxed and you're not stiff and tight. you're going to feel a little bit more confident because you're going to feel a lot looser, and you feel like you're not going to hurt yourself if you have like a certain physical activity thing you got going on, right? Whether it's housework or it's getting nice out, maybe it's gardening and yard work, okay? Because now that it's getting nicer out, we got to clean up the yards, right? So you're going to feel more safer, more supported, if you have a little bit of mobility work that you do. It also signals the nervous system to downshift because you're slowing down. And with stretching, there's breathing, right? And with breathing, that's where that downshift comes into play. Do you really give yourself time to slow down, to pause, to maybe take some 5 deep, intentional breaths? Taking 5 to 10 deep, I'm talking deep, right? Not just up here, but like in the rib cage area. When you breathe down in deep, 5 to 10 breaths, it downshifts your nervous system so much. It's so simple, right? So simple to do and so simple not to do. So as I talked about the nervous system, we are in this constant go mode. And that's what makes it harder to recover. We have a lot going on. I get it. We have a lot going on. We're busy. We have a lot of things to do, people to take care of. But we have to also remember to take care of ourselves, all right? Because a lot of the times that's what I hear from clients. Sometimes they are taking care of the other people in their life more than they're taking care of themselves, right? They always say, I'll do that later. No, there might not be a later until something really now happens to you. And where does that leave you and your family or your loved ones? I hope this makes sense. And it's just kind of, because I think about this all the time, especially with my parents getting older. My parents are in their late 70s, and it's like, and they don't live close. I'm just going to tell you that. They don't live close by, my parents. So I think about this and I talk to them and it's like, slow down, people, slow down. What are you trying to do? So when we do more slower movement, like I said before, with stretching and mobility, it really helps shift our bodies into this recovery state. All right. It gives your body that opportunity to be like, okay, great. Now I can recover from what happened yesterday or what workout I did yesterday. All right. And like I said, some examples is just gentle mobility work, even neck work, hip work, breathing, and breathing with movement. I always cue breath in my stretch classes. The slower and more controlled reps as opposed to let's go, right? Endurance. All right. So if your body never gets out of stress mode, it can't rebuild. It can't. There's no room because you're not giving your body time to slow down. You're not giving your nervous system to kick into that parasympathetic state. Relaxation response is what the other word is, right? Out of fight or flight, out of go mode, bring those cortisol levels down and rest and recoup. Okay. So I'm going to close this live. So just to recap, you don't need to work harder. You need to recover better. You need to recover more than working harder. Strength plus recovery go together, okay? And it's not about, slowing down isn't about setting you back. It's what allows you to move forward. I'm going to say that again. Slowing down isn't setting you back. It's what allows you to move forward. Let's reframe that. Let's reframe our minds with that statement. Okay. So if this helped and you're starting to think about your body differently now, right? Maybe you want to rewatch this whole thing. I want to invite you, right? So I talked a lot about nervous system support with stretching, and I touched upon hydration, okay? But I did unpack that study, right? I talked a lot about a couple products, right? I have products that I use to support my body in the recovery process, which have helped tremendously. But my programs definitely help in that recovery as well. I have my Foundation First series, which is a 7-day series. I started that at the beginning of this month, and I have to tell you the testimonials I've gotten. Oh my God, one of the women who just the breath work, right? Because there's breath work involved in one of the videos. She was experiencing reflux right before starting the series, and she started doing the breath work that I teach in this series, and she said that it improved her reflux, her gastric reflux. Okay, that's huge. Because who knows why she was getting gastric reflux. She thought it was something she was eating. And I said, and I'm not a therapist, but I said, maybe there's some stress happening, and it could be mental stress, emotional stress, or just physical stress in the body, something in the gut, right? I'm not going to talk about gut health right now. That's a completely different topic. But that definitely, right, just calming down, actually doing that breathing helped her reflux subside. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But all my programs, my movement programs incorporate so much recovery and mobility. And that alone really does help. That helps my clients so that when they go to that next strength workout, they are ready to go. They are. I've also talked about the product Longevity Core Plus. It's a clear hydrating protein, which is designed for performance longevity. And it features a dual protein system where it has 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, which supports strength, resilience, and long-term longevity. I know here's that word again, longevity. But that creatine monohydrate ratio is the creatine in the water. This helps stabilize the cells, right? Your cellular biology. So that is a really amazing product. It also has bovine collagen, which supports joint health as well. And also the clear whey protein, right? It's 20 grams of protein, like right there. So that alone is going to help with recovery. Now, I know that creatine is contraindicated for some conditions, especially with kidney and liver. You got to check with your doctor with that one, okay? Always check with your doctor when you are looking into any product, okay? I'm going to just put that out there. And I don't always push products. I don't push products. I just like to educate people on the products I use and trust. The other one I wanted to quickly talk about is this one. All right, let me just make sure that you can see it. It's called Hydrate Detox. It's from the same company that I use. And this is the Lemon Revive. This stuff, oh my God, all I do is I mix it in here with my water. And I will tell you quickly about this amazing product. So it has 4 electrolyte minerals: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride. And it's complexed or blended, I should say, with oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to say this. Glutathione. It's a tripeptide form of glutamine, which is it's a mineral. And it also has pre and probiotics in it. So it helps not only in the hydration products, but the hydration process of your body, right? Helping rehydrate you, but also detoxifying getting rid of those free radicals, right, that hang out in your cell membranes, right? When these free radicals attach to our cell membranes, it actually prevents the cells from doing its job, right? And as we get older, our cells get older and die. Okay. So the water, of course, carries everything, which so it includes, when you drink it with, obviously when you mix it with water, this is what helps carries those energy sources, the minerals and other substances into the cells, so that the water just carries all the wastes out, right? The glutathione, it protects the cell membrane, essentially. All right. It allows them to do its job. So what you'll feel by drinking this, and I will attest to it, and I have another customer who will attest to it, is that it increases energy. You get less fatigue. You have that clearer mind. Your muscles will function better, right? Because I talked about dehydration affects muscle function. It eliminates waste, all that waste that, we collect in our bodies from the air, from food, from drinks, right? So what I like to do with this particular product is mix it with the Longevity Core Plus, but you don't have to get that. Essentially, it is just, it tastes good. It comes in watermelon and strawberry lemonade, but I love my lemon, just straight lemon. Okay. And of course, I also want to I know I'm asking a lot. I'm also telling you guys a lot of stuff right now, but I'm very interested. And since I created a 7-day foundational series, I am thinking of creating a 7-day mobility series. So let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. You can comment mobility. We'll just say that. I know I don't want to give you guys too much stuff, but if you are interested in learning more about this Hydrate and Detox product, if you want an ingredients list, things like that, comment below hydrate. Okay. Yeah, because I can also get you a $10 off code on your first order. All right. That's all I have to say. I went over a few minutes, but this was a very important topic. So anyway, I hope you all have and my live stream, and I will see you soon.